Hi everybody and big welcome to a cEDH card review for the current revealed Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering cards. So we have like a few to go over, so just jump straight into it. And by the way, we're only looking at new cards, we're not looking at reprints obviously. So the first one out is Sauron the Lidless Eye, a 5-color Rakdos legendary creature avatar horror 4/4. When Sauron the Lidless Eye enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature an opponent controls until end of turn, untapped creature gains haste, so it's basically one of those red takeover effects. There's a bunch of variants to that. But it also has red, black, colorless, creatures you control get +2 attack, until end of turn each opponent loses 2 life. So you could win from infinite mana with this thing, but you don't really gain anything besides that. For being the big evil boss, he isn't really that powerful. Like only 2 colors, 5 mana, it's really casual. The ability to give your creatures +2 attack is like very casual too. And the ability to like steal something, like the cute thing you do with this is you cast it, you steal someone's commander and then you sacrifice that commander. So it's like spot removal, you basically fill your deck with a lot of sack outlets, so you can steal and sacrifice things. And then you add flicker effects to this thing, so you can flicker it, steal things and sacrifice those things too. But they will never see some action in cEDH. Next one up is Radagast, Wizard of the Wilds. Blue, green, 2 colorless, 3/5 avatar wizard with ward 1. Beasts and birds you control have ward 1. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, choose one, either create a 3/3 beast or a 2/2 bird with flying. 2 colors, generating tokens, not that great. Also you're like demanded to cast really expensive spells, so that is a problem too. I really like this character in the story, and I hope he would do something different, like whenever you cast a beast or bird or something of the sort, you could look at the top card of your library and draw one of them instead. But yep, this is also kinda cool. But overall, producing tokens, not that great. Then we have the One Ring, 4 colorless mana, indestructible legendary artifact. When the One Ring enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. For example, there are Magdas and Cesays that could trick this thing into play, but they would never gain that benefit by doing so. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the ring. Then you can tap it, put a burden counter on the One Ring, then draw a card for each burden counter on it, which ultimately means that the first time you tap it, you draw 1 card, the second time you tap it, you draw 2 cards, the third time you tap it, you draw 3 cards, and yeah, that's a lot of card draw. So we have these 2 cards, Manifold Key and Voltaic Key, to tap it, and 1 mana to untap target artifact. We also have Clock of Omens, tap to untap artifacts you control, untap target artifact. So we absolutely have some ways of making this thing really going for it. Like if you're only drawing 1 card the first turn, 2 cards the second turn, 3 cards the third turn, you're demanding, or you're in the mode that you really need to get a lot of turns going. But once you have those untap effects, it could go absolutely faster. Now of course 4 mana is actually quite a lot, but when you look into the fact that we're playing a really high amount of cards in this format with a lot of burst mana, also, we don't need any color mana here, we just need colorless. So a mana vault and a colorless land could do the job, like opening hand, ancient tomb, mana vault, and you have the One Ring on turn 1. If your opening hand contains a lotus petal, dark ritual, and a land, you also have it on turn 1. I actually made a video recently about the cEDH metagame in general. In that video I talked about the Rhystic Study being something you should try to have in your opening hand as early as turn 1 or turn 2. But I actually think that the One Ring could be viewed as a variant to the Rhystic Study, so to say. Like, it's a great card for your opening hand, it's gonna develop you forward quite easily. And it suddenly made Misha's Workshop a lot better. So I think this is a powerhouse card, a really good card, a card that could see some action. It's very hard to evaluate it right now, but the potential enormous value from this, by sitting and activating a little bit too much, you could really run away with the game if this gets left unchecked. If you get this into play turn 1, which you could focus your deck into doing, or well, turn 2 is also pretty okay, but turn 1, the One Ring, you're developing forward quite fast. And Mana Vault and the keys are already great with Mana Vaults and Grim Monolith, and the Mana Vaults and Grim Monolith are great with One Ring, so I think we're getting something together here. I'm actually gonna say this now, this one could turn the format into a very focused artifact format for the future. But now, let's move on. Next up is Gandalf the Grey. Red, blue, free, generic, free for avatar wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one that hasn't been chosen. First option, you may tap or untap target permanent. Second option, deal 3 damage to each opponent. Third option, copy target instant or source spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy, or put Gandalf on the top of its owner's library. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in his color identity and kind of what he's doing, because I always viewed Gandalf as very bunty, green, white and blue. And I always viewed Izzet to be very experimental, very crazy, having lots of grey hair. Like, I think this guy is the essence of what Izzet more or less is. Very crazy, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, let's figure out when I click the button. And Gandalf feels very opposite to that. He feels very community, like we wanna do something together. Regardless, he's expensive. It's not terrible. I would like to compare him a tiny bit with Displacer Kitten. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to one target non-land permanent you control. When you're casting something with Gandalf, or well, instant or sorcery, you may untap something. So yeah, you could create that semi-paradox engine with him. But there's also this combo potential when you cast Solve the Equation. You would get 2 copies of Solve the Equation when you basically cast it if you have your Gandalf in play. And from here you can create various combos of sorts. Overall though, I'm not super sold on him actually though. He is a bit expensive. It's only only 2 colors. And sure, you have a combo with Solve the Equation. But there are so many other commanders out there that have a 1-card combo that never really gets there because the commander capabilities in general are just not that great. For example, if you're looking for a commander with a 1-card combo, then Nigella. Like, that's a commander with a bunch of various 1-card combos. And now you have access to all 5 colors instead of just 2. And you have something to do when you're not comboing off with that 1-card combo. Like, sure, Gandalf can do some cute things, but Nigella will make warriors and she could win the game by just attacking with her warrior tokens too. And the thing about competitive Magic is that you compare every commander with an already existing one that is doing the exact same thing, and I could here like to argument that Nigella is doing the exact same thing as Gandalf the Grey, being able to perform 1-card combos here and there, but Nigella is doing it better, so therefore Gandalf shouldn't be an option. But feel free to solve the equation if you want to. Then we have Mount Doom, and I actually really like this card. So it's a legendary land that is important for a various few commanders like Shanid and Ceesay. So when Shanid puts this Mount Doom into play, you get to draw a card. That's good. It taps for 2 colors, it doesn't come into play tapped, so yeah, that's an upside already. Like, Shanid could already include it just for that simple small reason. Ceesay can also include it because she can search it out, but why would she? Well, you see, the second ability is 1 colorless black mountain, tap it, Mount Doom deals 1 damage to each opponent. So Ceesay has this Derevi, Gaia's Cradle, Emil the Blessed combo going for her, where you have infinite untaps and infinite mana. So you can activate Ceesay, search out Mount Doom, and then with your infinite untaps and with your infinite mana, you can kill all of your opponents with the Mount Doom. So that's an outlet for her basically. And it's an outlet from a land, so it doesn't really consume any of Ceesay's spots. Like, it doesn't really take up any space at all. But then you have this really expensive ability, 5 colorless, black, red, tap it, sacrifice Mount Doom and a legendary artifact, choose up to 2 creatures, then destroy the rest, activate only as a sorcery. So that is a very expensive board wipe, where you get to keep 2 creatures. Basically Sam and Frodo, by the way. You have to sacrifice an artifact though, the One Ring, or well, Mox Amber, or Mox Opal, or yeah, something of the sort. And that's fine. Like, it's good to have, I guess. In general, this is a really decent card for a Rakdos or black-red color identity deck that doesn't need many colors. You want to have some form of damage dealing effect to all of your opponents and a board wipe if needs be. You could include it inside turbo decks if you need board wipes, but honestly that's a very expensive board wipe. But if you're playing in a really stacks meta and you want to include more board wipes but you don't want to hurt your storm potential, like to remove rituals and such, you could include this. So I could see someone playing this in like a Turbo Grixis Oddnos deck, but I don't think you should, but I could see someone doing that just because they're playing in a very stacksy meta with a lot of creatures in it. But mostly this is for Shanid and Ceesay. Then we have Aragon and Arvin Wed. White, green and 4 generic for a free 6 human elf noble with vigilance, and whenever Aragon or Arvin Wed enters the battlefield or attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creatures you control. You gain life for each creature other. Yeah, overrun and life gain, not that great. Really expensive too. The Shire, I love that the Shire have a land here. Enters tapped unless you control a legendary creature. Tap it, add a green mana to your mana pool. Or green, colorless, tap it, tap an untapped creature you control and create a food token. I love it. It's absolutely on point of what it should do. I really like this card. Absolutely casual, never play it. It's awesome, but don't play it. I'm happy they made it. Reprieve something. Sorry for not being able to pronounce that correctly. White, colorless, instant, return target spell to its owner's hand, draw a card. This is more or less a reprint of Remand. Or, well, the big difference here is that Remand is a counter effect, where the new white card is return target spell to owner's hand. And that matters because sometimes things in Magic can't be countered, but they can still be returned to their owner's hand. Also, this is a white spell and not a blue spell, so Red Elemental Blast wouldn't work. Neither would Veil of Summer either. In general, Remand have never really been played. I've played it a few times and I have to say I actually kinda like it. So I like this reprint. I'm happy white is getting some cool spells that is actually functional. Like, it's not a bad card. You could have it inside your mono white deck or your white control deck, but well, if you have blue, you have usually better options. What I liked about Remand playing it was that you return something to someone's hand, revealed to the entire table that that person could do the same thing next turn, because you're returning the threat to that person, and you're gaining value through that during the process. But everyone knows that that is the threat we need to deal with, so you're aiming the cannons against that other person. So it's kind of controlling where the hate is going towards and moving it away from you a tiny bit. You can kind of make people actually play different game with like revealing the information that the person has a combo. For example, you bounce someone's Ad Nauseam or another Dockside back to your hand, then everyone's gonna like strategize a little bit different when they know that that's gonna come into play the next turn again. So I like it. It's not awesome, it's not broken, it's not an auto-include, but I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. You could include it, I would recommend it. Sam, Loyal Attendant, partnered with Frodo, Adventures Hobbit. I guess we're getting partners again, but that's fine. I wonder if you're gonna get like a partner combination of Aragon, Gimli and Legolas. I don't want that, but maybe they will do it, who knows, wizards are wizards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a food token. Activate abilities of food you control, cost 1 less to activate. I absolutely love it. This is so on point. They couldn't have designed this card better. Absolute casual, don't play it. Then we have Samwise the Stew-Hearted. Lot cheaper, mono white, flash for a 2/1. When Samwise the Stone-Hearted enters the battlefield, choose up to one target permanent card in your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, return it to your hand, then the ring attempts you. So there are some cool tricks with Dockside you could do with this, like you sacrifice your Dockside, use Samwise the Stone-Hearted to return Dockside back to your hand, and yeah, that's cute. Overall, it's not like bad, it's just not great. If you need to rebuild, if you need to protect, then you have better options. If you need to combo with Dockside, you have better options too. Overall, it's not bad, but it's not doing like anything great and amazing. Like, it's not competing among other cards that we already have that is doing something of the sort the same, but this is just doing it worse. Frodo, Sauron's Bane. 1 white mana for a 1/2. If Frodo, Sauron's Bane, is a citizen, it becomes a halfling scout with power and toughness 2 and 3 and lifelink. For 3 black, if Frodo is a scout, it becomes a halfling rogue with, whenever this creature deals combat damage to player, that player loses the game. But only if the ring has tempted you 4 more times this game, otherwise the ring tempts you. So the plan is here to Voltron, if you're playing this as a commander that is, and basically attack someone 4 times or well, tempt yourself with the ring 4 times and then attack someone and kill them basically. You also need to like convert it into that scout of sorts to make it work. Not great, really expensive, not good for cEDH, kinda cool, but not that great. Gollum, Gollum, Gollum. I had to do it, sorry. So Gollum, Patient Plotter. 3/1, legendary creature, halfling horror. When Gollum, Patient Plotter leaves the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Black mana, sacrifice a creature, return Gollum, Patient Plotter from your graveyard to your hand. Activate only as a sorcerer. It's kinda on point what actually happened. Like, Gollum kinda sacrificed Sam to get closer to Frodo, so I kinda see it. Like, Gollum was always this very durable, never-dying creature in the story. They just came back, crawled back into the game, so I kinda like the part where he's blacking us returning from the graveyard over and over. Not good. Nothing you really want to have in cEDH in general. And the last one for this video is Tom Bombadil, legendary creature God Bard. As long as there are 4 or more lore counters among sagas you control, Tom Bombadil has hexproof and indestructible. Whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control resolves, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a saga card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. This ability triggers only once each turn. So if you have 2 sagas or more happening at the same time, you only get this effect once. So what you basically do here is you create a form of like card draw effect, or well, also cheating mana by the way, because you resolve a saga and you get a saga into play. So what you could do here with Vamp Tutor and some Brainstorms and Imperial Seals, guys, and also planning a lot of top deck manipulations by the way, is that you have a very cheap saga resolve and flip into a really expensive saga. Still though, this is a 5-color commander and you have to sit and tick and wait for that saga to actually happen, and then you get a really big expensive saga that is usually really bad for cEDH. Like, there are some sagas that are like, well, this is good if you get it into play for the mana cost somehow without paying that, but still. I think it's really cool. It's an awesome looking casual commander, probably really fun. I absolutely love the design. But it's not good for cEDH. Like, it's not something cEDH have a time to invest. Like, this is a lot of mana. Investing a lot of, like, all the mana you need to do to get this thing going, and the value of he gives you for that mana invested into it isn't really worth it. So overall, not that good. Don't play this. Or well, yeah, play what you... If you want to play casual, if you want to play sagas, then this is great. But cEDH, not that good. We have a much better gods in cEDH. He is an actual god commander option though, if you want to go god tribal. Like, you don't need to go the saga tribals, you could go the god tribal, but yeah. Alright, that's it. Those are the cards we have so far seen. More cards are gonna be coming up, so more card reviews for the future. But the big takeaway here so far is that Mount Doom and the One Ring looks like something. I really think that the One Ring could really change the format and turn it into a more heavy focused artifact format. There's a lot of cards that would synergize with the One Ring that we're more or less almost already playing, and if you want to increase that Mishra's Workshop game plan, so to say, this is another card that's gonna make that land great. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. More card reviews are coming up.